So who's the Cervelo Aspero for? Well, like I said, I think this is gonna be the bike for What's up you guys, Mo Awesome from Awesome MTB. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to something I thought I would never say, a review about a Cervelo bike on the channel of Awesome MTB. Now, not many people know this, but I love watching the Tour de France every year. I watch all of the tour and I watch all the commentary after. Throughout my years of watching it, the one brand of bikes I constantly fall in love with is Cervelo. So when Jenson USA hit me up and asked me if I wanted to try one, I tried to not come off as too eager, but deep down inside, I was absolutely dying. I was so excited to finally try out a Cervelo, and I was also curious what was gonna show up. And then when they sent me the promotions that they would be running on the Cervelo gravel bike, I was blown away. And here we have the Aspero, which is now $27.99 on their website. And it's also been something that's allowed me to finally ride a Cervelo bike. And after all of these years of finally waiting, I understand the hype. There's so much that I absolutely love about the Cervelo Aspero, including that price point. So what is the Cervelo Aspero? Well, this is gonna be an aero gravel bike from Cervelo. And like I mentioned, it's gonna be a little bit more suited for those who have a little bit more of a road-oriented background or want a very fast gravel bike. So we have a carbon frame and I went with a size 58. I'm 6'2", and on drop bar bikes, I do tend to size down. Normally on the mountain, I ride XLs. Anything road or gravel or anything with a drop bar, I'll run a 58 or a size large. Now we do have a 1x-SRAM Explorer Apex group set on here, and that is gonna be the drivetrain as well as the brakes. We also have Explorer drop bars on there. They're fairly wide, which I really appreciated. We have an alloy seat post and an insanely comfortable Cervelo stock saddle. For wheels, we have an alloy wheel set on here with Alex rims. Now the coolest things about these wheels are probably the hub. They are very high engaging, which isn't typical on a more budget-friendly alloy wheel set. For tires, we have a WTB Volpine 700x40. Like I said, the intention of the Aspero is to be a little bit more of an aero gravel bike, and the name of the game here is gonna be fast, because the Aspero is a very quick bike, both on-road and off-road. Now up here, we do have a cool frame bag that came with the Cervelo. This is something I think more brands need to do. So many times I see bosses on the top of the bikes or on the bottom of the top tube. I never know what to put there. I know you can buy specialty tools or tools that's supposed to line up with it, but the fact that the bag comes stock with the Cervelo, I think really awesome touch. Once again, you guys, after riding the Cervelo Aspero, it has lived up to everything I thought a Cervelo would be like. I'm actually gonna take you guys out on the trail so you guys can see how the Aspero performs, and then we're gonna come back and talk about the things that I absolutely love about this bike, some things that I don't necessarily love, and who I think the Aspero is for. Before we go for that ride, I do wanna give a huge thank you to the people who made this video possible, and that is Jenson USA.
If you didn't know, Jenson USA is one of the largest online bike shops out there, and they are incredible. They have so many bikes and parts in stock, ready to ship to you with same-day shipping. Their prices are incredible, and their customer service is second to none. They are rider-owned and have been around for 30 years, so they know how important it is to not only get the best deals, but also keep the time off the bike to a minimum. So like I said, they offer same-day shipping, and their customer service is backed by gear advisors to help make picking the right item or bike out very simple. And like I said, the prices are insane, some of the best deals in the industry, and they also have a really rad Corona store location. In that Corona store location, there are so many insane deals on bikes going on right now, and it's super cool to also have a physical location to complement their awesome website. I know some people are a little bit more comfortable checking out bikes in person.
Once again, you guys, we can't recommend Jenson USA enough. Something that I love about receiving bikes from Jenson is how well packaged they are. They're ready to go in minutes. Package and care for the bike is awesome, and it's absolutely dialed. They're ready to hit the trail in a few minutes after taking it out of the box. And besides the care that they put into shipping, another thing is also the customer service as well as the prices. Some of the best prices in the industry. And once again, the Cervelo Aspero is on sale right now in a couple of different builds, so be sure to check out the website. We'll link it in the description of this video. Huge thank you to Jenson USA for making these videos possible. Now let's hit the trails. What's up you guys? Welcome to another GoPro review on a gravel bike. Today we have the Cervelo Aspero. Probably one of the fastest gravel bikes I've ever tested. And the fact that I am on a Cervelo, oh man. I think I could basically stop riding bikes now because this has been a dream for me for so long. I just never thought that I would ever be able to ride a Cervelo. So I almost thought they were so expensive. $27.99 and we are here. And you know, it is very clear the Cervelo Aspero is meant to be a very fast gravel bike. Definitely feels a little bit more of like a aero road bike that can accommodate gravel tires. Like I said, I think a lot of riders who appreciate the efficiency of road bikes will appreciate the Aspero. You can really see that road cycling heritage on the Aspero. I think some people will love that because you guys probably saw earlier, I tested out the RE Schaefer, and I have a few other gravel bikes that are similar to the Schaefer in terms of big tires, a little bit more on the mountain bike side of things. And you know, not everyone wants that. Some people just want a little bit more capable of a road bike that they can take off-road, but still get the efficiency on the road. And you get that with the Aspero. A few other things that I noticed is the geometry. You can tell a little bit on the longer side, and I feel so at home on the 58. It does feel very similar. I do have a couple of road bikes as well. I have an aero road bike, and I have a little bit more of a climbing road bike. I would say it feels more similar to those than some of the modern gravel bikes I've gotten. I think in this day and age, there's a lot of road cyclists that want to try and hop off the road, but they still will be there on the road on the weekends, maybe if you're going to a ride with your friends, and you don't want to be on a big gravel bike with big tires, can't keep up with your friends. And I think that's where the Cervelo Aspero really plays an important role. You know, road cycling is getting very dangerous. Feels like every week I'm hearing about another unfortunate story. And I do think the Cervelo Aspero is going to inspire some true roadies who want to dabble in gravel to get over, because you don't have to fully commit. I do think the Aspero, you guys will see later on, feels very comfortable on the road. And if anything, I would actually say the Geo feels a little bit more road oriented, but it's not a road bike. It still has that gravel rake from the front end that keeps it stable, especially when things get loose. There's a lot of sand pits out here right now, and the Aspero really does cut well through them. Now, in terms of drivetrain, it's a little bit more of a basic SRAM Explorer drivetrain. However, I would actually say the brakes are very impressive. One finger on both brakes while in the hoods, and there's a good amount of stopping power there. Here, it's gonna start getting a little bit loose and rutted. Like I said, very capable Geo from the Aspero. Not as aggressive as some other bikes in this category. However, at the same time too, I don't think everyone wants that aggressive nature. And I've actually seen some feedback from riders that they think gravel is going a little too aggressive. The demo for gravel is also so wide. Like I said, you have roadies who are kind of fed up with the road and cars and traffic, and they are starting to dabble off-road. They obviously prioritize efficiency, and they like this more conservative nature in the Geo. Hold our breath here. Got a little bit of steep pitch right here. No issue for the Aspero. And then you also have, I would say, the mountain bikers that are going over to gravel. They like the wider tires. They like the dropper post, the suspension. And then you also have gravel purists. And there's so many different ways a brand can go about making a gravel bike. And it is really awesome to know the Cervelo Aspero exists, especially at this price point. Because once again, I don't think everyone wants to go as extreme on their gravel rig. And I would say if you're a roadie out there, you're gonna appreciate how the Aspero performs, but then also get the benefits of shifting over to a gravel platform. What an awesome rig. And it's very rowdy here. So many loose rocks, no issues for the Aspero. Overall, man, this Cervelo has been everything my mind has dreamed it up to be. Expecting with it being a little bit more of an aero gravel bike, that there'd be a little bit of twitchiness on trail. But no, the front end, very stable at speeds. I like the rake. And overall, I do love the Geo of the Aspero. Do not believe that this review would be complete without some time on the road, because I think that is where the true beauty with the Cervelo Aspero comes. The fact that you're able to get off-road, get on gravel, have a very capable, fast gravel bike, but get on the road and still feel at home on the road, I think is the most impressive thing about the Aspero. First thing you notice is acceleration. It gets up to speed really quick on road. That frame, so stiff, but compliant when you need it to be in terms of vibration dampening. And you definitely have an aero feeling to the frame. It feels very at home to me in comparison to some of my other road bikes that are dedicated road bikes. They don't have the ability to get off road. And like I said, I do think the unique nature of the Aspero is it feeling at home both on-road and off-road? All right, so the first thing that I absolutely love about the Cervelo Aspero is that performance. It is such a quick bike, both on-road and off-road. Off-road, what I could clearly tell is this definitely is intended to be a little bit more of an aero style gravel bike. You definitely could tell it wanted to go fast as possible. When you got out of the saddle and you put that power down, the frame had a very stiff feel to it. And then when the speed did pick up, you can definitely feel it has a little bit more of an aero nature to the frame. And that's something that was very much appreciated. I could definitely see myself going for some very big epics on this. Like the transition from gravel to road is awesome. And those aero benefits that you would need on the road can also be needed on gravel, especially on longer fire roads. Now, another thing that I absolutely loved about the Aspero was that frame construction. Once again, it has a very stiff feel when you need it to. So when you get out of the saddle and you start putting that power down, the frame you can tell is very stiff. And that was something that I really appreciated for power transfer. However, as soon as you get over more chunky sections, you can definitely tell the frame has a very good vibration dampening from it. And it was very clear that Cervelo knows how to do carbon, especially with these drop bar bikes. I mean, anytime that you're trying to tune carbon on such a light platform, I mean, there's so many places that you need to kind of figure out where stiffness goes, where to add vibration dampening. I feel like you can tell with the Cervelo Aspero that it has a very sophisticated ride feel out on the trails. Now, another thing that I absolutely loved about the Aspero was that transition from gravel to road. As soon as you hit the road, you can tell those aero benefits are still there, and it doesn't feel like you're on your gravel bike when you're on the road. It almost feels like you're on your road bike. And I have a few road bikes. I've spent a lot of time on the road, and I would say that the Aspero has a very comfortable feeling out on the road. And like I said, in terms of geo, you don't feel like you're losing too much in terms of efficiency when you hop on the road. It doesn't feel like there's too much drag because you're a little bit more upright. It still feels like you're in a slightly more aggressive stance than some other gravel bikes on the road, and that's something that's very much appreciated, especially if you're going to be mixing your time between road and gravel. Now, one last thing that I absolutely loved about the Aspero was just the small details. From everything from the paint to the lines of the bike clearly has a high performance look to it. The fact that this is their more budget oriented build, once again, you guys, the build actually was pretty insane. I love those brakes. For being a more budget friendly drivetrain, I actually thought the brakes on here were actually in line with SRAM Force, which is pretty insane. And yeah, you can clearly tell that even though Cervelo was going budget with this build, they didn't want to sacrifice quality, because at the end of the day, it's a Cervelo, and they know the build itself is going to be associated with the brand name. And I'm very impressed by the build kit option on here. This saddle, it's a stock Cervelo saddle. This is probably the most comfortable stock saddle I've ever had on a drop bar bike. And even the bar tape to the bars, you definitely didn't trim corners when it came time for the actual build. And overall, I was very impressed by the build kit as well as the bike's performance. So who's the Cervelo Aspero for? Well, like I said, I think this is going to be the bike for that roadie that wants to spend a little bit of time on the gravel, or that gravel cyclist that wants to spend a little bit more time on the road. Because I feel like the transition between road to gravel is very natural on this bike, and I feel like its aero benefits are apparent in both road as well as gravel. I love the aero performance of the bike. The bike definitely has a let's go fast mentality. I do like that you can change the rake of the fork via that axle chip. That's another cool adjustment that you can make in terms of ride quality, depending on what wheel size you want to run on here or how you want the front end to feel. And overall, I think that if you want to have a very fast gravel bike, the Cervelo Aspero is going to be a solid bike to consider. Say you want a little bit more of a modern gravel bike, or you want to spend more time in the gravel, you might want to look at some other bikes that have clearance for wider tires. However, for that roadie purist that wants a gravel bike, I think the Cervelo Aspero is going to be a solid bike to consider, because I think you can split your time both on the road as well as gravel, and you can rest assured knowing that you are probably on one of the fastest bikes in this category. So with that being said, if I didn't answer any of your guys' questions about the Cervelo Aspero, let me know in the comments section. Happy to help, and huge thank you to Jenson USA for making these videos possible. Once again, the bike is on sale on Jenson USA. We'll link in the description, and until next time, you guys, ride awesome. You.